Hey guys, welcome back to Connections Corner. I'm Ivana.
And I'm Holly.
And this podcast is all about finding your people and your vibes here at the University of Gloucestershire.
We take you to life beyond lectures and give you an insight as what it's like to be part of Team Gloss. And of course, we're always speaking to some incredible guests, like we are today.
Yeah.
So welcome to Connections Corner. I thought you'd like to introduce yourselves to start with.
I'm Mike. I'm an undergraduate first year for marketing, advertising and branding.
Awesome.
And I'm Nathalie Dawson. I'm a careers and employability officer with the careers team here at the university, having also been a student in the 90s as well.
Really?
Wow.
Okay. I think it's really interesting actually because I think I'm the only person who has worked here and never not been here for uni. Because all of my colleagues and everyone I meet has just been here, and it's just really nice.
No, there's a few of us around, and in the careers team, there's definitely a few of us that also studied here as well.
Yeah, definitely, and it gives that sort of extra connection to.
Yeah, we've walked the same corridors.
Yeah. Although it probably looks a little different now.
Oh yeah, it's much nicer now.
And are you not starting today?
Yeah, I can do. So usually we kind of just start with getting to know you guys and kind of explaining to the people watching who you are. So should we just start with you, Mike?
Sure.
What kind of made you want to come to uni and study? You said marketing and
Advertising and branding. Yeah. So my story is a little bit maybe different. I know everyone's unique and everyone's got their own story. But I'm a mature student. I worked in a career previously for a few years in insurance. Boring. No offense.
No, it's actually so interesting because Dave, who was on the podcast previously, he's done sports business and actually is now going to go into insurance. So.
Oh wow! Each
swings
to their
and
own.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's just it wasn't for me personally.
No.
And I was in a situation. I was living in London. I'd never lived outside of London before, and I wanted to change careers, and marketing was for me, long story short. And with that, there was a few avenues I wanted to take, but I decided I wanted to go to university because I never did before. And I think I wanted that sense of autonomy where I was able to sort of go into something but explore what I wanted to do within that. And
Absolutely.
Having spoken to a few different universities and everything, and really speaking with UOG, became quite clear that it was the place I wanted to go. So yeah, a little bit of a different story, I know, for the probably average student, but yeah, it was, I guess that's great that, everyone's here, everyone's different, so I think.
And what would you say your favourite part is of studying here so far?
That's difficult for me to choose because there's a lot, I think the thing that stood out for me most when I first arrived here, even to this day, is just how welcoming everyone is. Not just from the students that I'm with, but also the academics as well.
Yeah.
Everyone feels like they have time for me, which is funny, really, especially coming from London, where everyone's just head down, get on with their day. It's kind of a bit of a culture shock, I suppose, but it's a nice one and it's good. Everyone wants to indulge me, which is nice.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's probably my favourite thing.
Definitely. And as you say, everyone takes their own path to, where they want to be. And I think it's really good that you've, picked up on that and then actually changed to do something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Because I think that's probably the most important thing
Yeah.
when you're looking to, go and build your career. And Nathalie, how long have you been part of the careers team? And obviously you mentioned coming to uni here.
Yeah,
so share a little bit about
I've been associated a long time. So I came here in 96, 99 for my undergrad.
Yeah. What did you do?
Geography.
Okay.
So I was an FCH student, and then I carried on to do postgrad in sports development, which back then was still at FCH. Then I went out into industry and various roles in I was box office manager at the Everyman Theatre, so I love the arts, lots of marketing. And then I ended up coming back here in 2007 to work in a business development role. So I worked in the Centre for Enterprise and Innovation, Business Development Unit and the Growth Hub. So lots of positions where I'm working with the local business community to understand what they want and how to work with the uni. And then I had the opportunity 3 years ago to join the careers team, which I thought this is a great chance to take all that lovely commercial knowledge and to share it with the students and the graduates to say this is what people are looking for on the outside. And actually our paths have crossed already. I did the mature student induction, so we literally met when you were brand new in a room, and then we met out there in the atrium, and I've signposted you to work with our external relations team and marketing society stuff, and we're friends on LinkedIn. So
love LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Getting the
we
mentions
love
in
LinkedIn.
early.
I do lots of sessions on LinkedIn. So that's been my journey. So I'm a real sort of ally. I'm an alumni, but I'm also a long-standing member of the team. And I can echo your thoughts there, that what made it special for me when I picked this as a university was I wanted to go somewhere where someone would know my name. I'm from a really small rural village in Staffordshire where you can't go to the end of the road without people knowing what you're doing. And I wanted to go down a high street where I'd bump into people. And I love that about here. There's enough going on that you can find your space, but also you can see those familiar faces, either on the corridor in the uni or on the high street. I've stayed here and made a family and a life in Cheltenham. So
It's so funny you say that, because literally, like, didn't I say that exact thing in the first episode?
Yeah.
Like, when I came here, the reason why I picked this uni, that was the fact that my lecturer at the time remembered my name when I came to my open days and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow.
Yeah. When I'm at open days now, I often think about myself back then, and I see all the parents with their young people, and my thing is to have lots of really meaningful conversations, and I know on the journey home, when they're weighing up all their options, that might be the conversation that sort of makes them go, do you know what, it felt like they cared, but we do, it's what we're, the staff team are really sort of compassionate, I think.
Yeah, and it makes such a big difference then when you're going through the whole journey as well, and then you just grow that network of people that you know, and you're just pulling all the knowledge from the different places. And I think feeling at home is obviously the most important part, and finding your people as well. So
just to say that, Nathalie said that about everyone sort of knowing your name. That was something that really stood out for me as well. So coming from like a slightly different background, where I'm, from London, it was really busy, and I was always growing up in schools and stuff where there was quite a lot of students in one place, so you almost felt like a number. And in the last couple of years or so, I'm sort of like late diagnosed, like neurodivergent, and that was quite a big thing for me as well. So like another journey sort of adjacent that I was sort of exploring. And with that, and making this life change, I wanted to come somewhere where I didn't just feel like someone who was just another number in the crowd. I felt like someone would know how to know my name, and I'd be able to speak with them. And I got that almost instantly when I did come here on my open day. Yeah. And it was really the sort of, I was about 90% sure that I wanted to come here, but then I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
It's the extra 10%. Yeah. And obviously you've spoken about your favourite moment. Have you got a favourite moment?
As a student or as
or your favourite thing just about being part of this?
I love, genuinely, the staff and the connections that we have. There are people who've been here as long and longer than me, and there are staff that are relatively new, but everybody's sort of singing from the same song sheet. We all genuinely care about the students, and we genuinely want to make a difference and make a sort of a meaningful sort of connection with people, so that when they leave, they want to come back and they want to share their story. So graduates, when they come back and say, this is what we're doing now to our current students, it's just great to have been part of that whole journey.
Definitely. I think we've got such a strong alumni community who really, as you say, really do want to come back and share that knowledge. And obviously, we've spoken a lot about the different decision-making factors that, come into deciding whether you even want to go to uni or not, let alone which uni is for you. And it often comes down to not only the course that you do, but everything else that comes with it. And one of those factors that probably a lot of our listeners and students going to uni now are considering is like the cost of going, and how's that going to look for them, and can be really worried about it. So therefore today's
that's why we're here today.
It's why we're here today. It's why we're here every week,
exactly.
every other week. But it's going to be around student budgeting and how we can make it a little bit easier for you, where you can get your support before you come and when you're here.
And after.
So as we said, we're going to talk a little bit about student budgeting today. So Mike, I thought we'd start with you. If you could tell us a little bit about, your thoughts on, money and how much everything was going to cost when you started.
It must be quite a big jump for you, like going from somewhere like London, which is actually quite expensive to live in, and then coming here, which Cheltenham's like not cheap, but
Yeah.
Cheaper
like,
than London.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because my partner's from Swindon, so that's where I commute from. I come in from there. And for me, coming from somewhere that I was working full time, I knew that there was going to be a lot of habits that were going to change, and I think that was the main thing that I was worried about. It was like, can I adjust? Can I change? Knowing that I'm going to be having to make some adjustments. But whilst I had a lot of anxiety beforehand, the reality is when you are actually in it, you do realise that whilst there are changes you need to make, they are completely manageable, and they are things that you can take forward and realise that actually I didn't need to do those things beforehand. Like it was probably a good reset where I was able to sort of analyse everything and be like, okay, I don't need all of these things. I don't need these subscriptions and everything. It's the first thing I did actually when I got accepted in. I was like, okay, I know I'm going to have to make some changes, so I have to start somewhere.
Nothing changes after you leave either, because I've just bought a house and I've done the exact same thing with my parents, just deciding which ones I can actually just still use theirs.
Yeah. It's like a good
It's like, guys, please keep me on your Netflix subscription.
I've been kicked off.
My dad still pays my phone bill.
Yeah.
And he's going to be paying
my dad
that.
paid my phone bill till I was probably about 30. And then he said, I think it's time. I was like, okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
No, yeah, I was just saying, like, that was a thing, and I knew I had to start somewhere, so I started with the subscriptions and stuff, because not to overwhelm yourself, but like to do like little bits at a time. And I think that a main bit of advice I would say is that when you know that you're going to be going to university, is just start looking at things early, I'd say, not to scare anybody, but just bit by bit, and then you can sort of in time break things down as you get before you get there, and then before I was doing everything at once, because making that life change when you do come to uni, whether you're living in halls or you're living at home still, it is a big change. So rather than doing everything at once and it being overwhelming, just break things down bit by bit.
Yeah, that's great, because actually that was going to be my next question, was when did you sort of start thinking about it? And as you say, the earlier the better.
Yeah.
And even possibly if you're thinking about it, even the summer before you come to uni, you obviously want to have a great summer, like celebrating, if you come the traditional way, then you want to celebrate your results, or like have a great summer before you leave and meet new people, but also like maybe think about how you could save up a little bit for when you actually get there, because I know that's what I did. Is I saved up some money before I went to uni, and I had a great first year, because I knew that I'd saved up some money that I didn't have to stress about, working all the time, so I could enjoy certain bits of it. But I know that everyone's sort of journey is different, so appreciating that is.
And Natalie, so you're often involved in talking to like potential students who come here about student finance, like open days and stuff. Yeah. What would you say is the most common worry for students coming to university?
I think some students sort of have never probably budgeted before. They just live and family just take them to places and pay for things, and coming to university, suddenly you're independent and you're managing your money as well as your time and everything else. And it's actually, how do I budget? What does that even look like? So I've been in a few talks with students who've given me some great examples of where perhaps someone that's already at uni has gone, oh, here's my budget template, and they think, what is that? But actually, having a look at, it's a good old spreadsheet on Excel, but you just put in what you've got, what's going to be coming in, what is going to be coming out, and sort of like map it out a bit. It may not be for everyone, but it's one way of doing it. But also, I know that I went onto Excel and just looked at their pre-made templates, and there is one called, I think they call it a college because it's an American term, but a college, budget tracker, and you can adapt that to suit. So I think that's one of the things first, is you can't ignore the money. It's a thing. Even as an adult, we have to look at what's coming in, what's going out, what's left. So I think having that sort of money management, control of your finances is key, and not being an ostrich and putting your head, to the right while it's happening. But we can then come in as a careers team and certainly support how you can help with the incoming, which is maybe getting a job or transferring, if you have a job at home in your local Waitrose or B&Q or wherever, McDonald's, anything that's got a brand that's all over the country, have those conversations before you even get to uni. See if you can transfer. That's always a really good tip that students say. that they do, you know, before they even get here, and having that job in, you know, sort of sorted is quite good. But the one top tip I would say for a job is the student ambassador programme. That's something that
I know so many people who do that.
if I was to be a university student again, I so would be an ambassador. I know I would. It's something that you don't have to be here 1, 2, 3 years and then think about it. You can do it from your first year. It's really well paid. You get to, you know the university, get to know staff, students on other courses, other campuses, and you can do as much as you want shift-wise, or you can have a quiet month if you don't. But as long as you do 6 shifts a year, then you're good, and you're in a pool of other students. And I know ambassadors now that say this has been what helped them make, you know, their friends for the next year to get a house with. And so that's one option, would be one of the student ambassador roles.
And there's so many opportunities that come, you know, with that. I think we spoke to Siddy about it as well before, that, you know, you're meeting new people, you're developing skills. It's a great one to put on your CV, let alone helping with that financial burden. And obviously that can also fit around your studies more easily than other.
I mean, we talk about networking, and it's a word that people shudder and go, oh, what's that? But you are networking when you're a student ambassador, because you're getting to meet people outside of your comfort zone, you know, other courses, other year groups, other campuses, academics. And I know most of the students say, you know, when they were brand new, they would never have imagined sitting on a panel doing a Q&A with new students and parents. And this job has given them that confidence, which puts them in really good stead for sort of the transition from student to the outside world.
Yeah. And so many things can appear so scary when you first get here, I think. And then you look at, you know, you're towards the end of your student journey now, sadly. Don't think about it. But, you know, you'll look back on these things and think, oh, well, they were scary, but now you get to help somebody else feel a little less worried about it. And before we move on, I just thought that I know, obviously, we know each other quite well, and whether you wanted to talk about your budgeting experience as a student, because you didn't so much.
Yeah, I think it's a bit different for me, to be honest, because I've always worked while I've been at uni. So I did the kind of similar thing where I came to uni having money saved up, because I used to work at Wingstop, if you didn't already know that.
Anyone who has been here from day one knows that Ivana worked at Wingstop.
And so I had money saved up, so I didn't work for the first 4 or 5 months of being at uni, because I just didn't need to, and I wanted to do the same thing. I just wanted to enjoy, settle in, find my friends and stuff. And then I got a job. And so I've literally been working since midway through first year. So I never really have to necessarily budget myself, but in the sense that I'm really good with savings and putting aside money a month when I get paid. And I have my student account where I know my student finance or whatnot is for food only, for example, so and so. So I'm not necessarily, I don't budget, but I'm good at splitting up my costs, maybe. I don't know.
But you're conscious, although you're not writing it down, you're consciously thinking about it.
I write down my subscriptions and the day that my gym membership or my Netflix or my Spotify gets taken out every month. So I write that down so I know. But other than that,
you don't.
No. But
it's equally fine to be that way because you've thought about it and you've been proactive in the way that you have approached uni and approached your costs. You're just doing it in a different way, and I think everyone will be in a different position.
What are you, Holly?
What about me?
Yeah.
Well, I've become we like to say adult pro max recently, because I've bought a house and I'm now living on my own, and I've been very fortunate in my life with my parents, and I know that they've always been there to help me, and I know that I'm very fortunate to be in that position. But actually, it's also taught me that, I can't just rely on that. So I've always been quite proactive, and as I said, saved up a lot of money before I went to uni. But yeah, I do now have a spreadsheet, because otherwise it's going to get too hard, and I have to.
You have a spreadsheet.
I do have a spreadsheet.
Crazy.
Yeah, I do have a spreadsheet because I needed a bit, of a reality check.
Yeah, of course. That happens.
And I like
to.
Yeah.
Guys, don't. I haven't had that yet.
It's right. When the next step, and you'll be like, oh,
God,
there's more to think about.
Fine, I'll just get a spreadsheet.
I'll send you mine.
Thanks.
It's not that exciting. But I know that I like to save up for the things that I like to go out and do. I like to go to concerts, so it's not
That's what's
cheaper.
important. It's kind of having that balance between like budgeting and also prioritizing the things you want to do, and like not limiting yourself. If that makes sense. So do you guys have any sort of like tips or like stuff? Well, this is really confusing.
No,
But do you have any like sort of tips for people to like, so that they can budget but at the same time like still enjoy themselves and still enjoy their life and still do the things that they love? Like, do you know what I mean?
I think one of the things
Because we
I
were
was
talking
going to
about
say
like, yeah, go on.
first was you brought up like your student bank account, and I think that's a really important one. Because
And I know
there are
that student banks are like, or banks sometimes give like incentives to like students if they like open an account with them, and they give them like, I was meant to have money from my bank account and they never gave me that, so I couldn't tell you from personal experience. I've got beef with Lloyd's Bank. Can you bleep out?
There's definitely,
But can you leave it in but bleep out? It's funny.
there's definitely one bank account that gives you a young person's rail card. I don't
Yeah,
know which
yeah.
bank.
I think it's Santander. Yeah.
So that's
They-
a positive
Shout
thing.
out Santander.
Yeah.
We can leave that in. Sponsor us.
Yeah, but that's true. Like you get,
But
you
yeah,
can
they
get a
do
rail
like sort of
card.
yeah.
I went with
I was
Santander.
meant to have like £100 for free or something.
But you need
Never
to
had
tell
that.
them.
But
I think it's too late now.
The big thing is just ask. If you don't ask, you don't,
You don't
get.
get exactly.
So wherever you go, if there's a queue and you're paying for something, just say, do you do a student discount? Because sometimes they don't actually promote it, but they do. So theatre, Cheltenham Lido, hiring courts in a sports centre, there will be student discounts. So just get in the habit of, don't think you're being cheeky, just ask, do you have a student discount? Make that your sort of
Everywhere
like
I go, student
mantra.
discount.
Hi.
Everywhere I go,
Yeah.
literally, I'm like shoving my uni days into people's faces.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, no, and I'm like, please.
And even as staff, we have an associate membership, so I pay for that. But I still at my ripe old age have a student discount,
That's
which
so
I love.
good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm winning in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other things?
I was just gonna, and with the student bank account, is that you
Yeah.
can often, like, I had an overdraft, like an interest-free overdraft of mine. So obviously you want to know that you're able to pay that off when it comes down to it. But actually having that little bit of a safety net without having to, pay rates on borrowing that money is a nice little safety blanket in a sense. And I know that I appreciated it. I was just actually really bad at moving money between my savings and my current account.
I think my big thing was I always had a job. Before I came to uni, I had my little part-time job. When I came to uni, the first thing I did was to have that job. So I never, like you, really worried because I knew there was always money coming in, as well as me spending and having a good time. So, and then every summer I went away and worked to pay off the overdraft, come back in sort of a good position, and off we go again. So the good thing with doing that is obviously financially it's great, but also from a careers point of view, the skills you're developing, the people you're meeting, the network you're growing, it's really important. It doesn't matter if it's a bar job, hospitality, anything, because the transferable skills you'll develop will absolutely sort of stand you in good stead for whatever you go on to afterwards. So never downplay what you've done. I've worked in a strawberry farm, but it made me good at talking to people.
Cute.
Yeah, and I had a good tan because I was outside all day.
I bet you did. I'm always quite big on that as well. Because I feel like I've got more free time because like I'm not part of like a club or a society or anything. So that's why I can work more, pick up more shifts and stuff. But also like having a part-time job, even if it's just one day a week. Like one of my housemates works in town, but she works like she gets transferred. So whenever she goes home, she works there. When she says she works here, but like it just takes you out of like, because sometimes you get like you're at uni, assignments, whatnot, like, and then when you go to your part-time
routine.
job, like it just takes you out of that sometimes. And I think that can be good for
It's a
some
nice break.
people.
You
Exactly.
can really
And
light
also
up.
you're speaking to people who aren't like part of your uni, who you're not living with necessarily, you're not on top of each other. You can make other
Connecting with
friends.
local people. I was going to
Exactly.
say that because when I had a part-time job at uni, I made friends with people, and they're like some of my best friends now. And I've obviously been out of uni for 4 years, so they do last a lifetime.
You want multiple networks. You want your classmates, you want your academics, you want your job, your volunteering, where you live, your home friends, and whatever you do, you're creating these little mini networks, and that will help make you this fully rounded, employable person at the end of your degree.
For me, it was more about looking at what I did was I pinpointed the thing that would be almost like the immovable thing when I came here.
Yeah.
So everyone's different, right? This is why I wanted to be more of like a agnostic approach rather than this is what I did, this is what you should do, because it might not be relevant. So I knew when I come here that my main spine, if you like, would be petrol because I'm driving, right? So I think, okay, well, how much do I probably have to budget for that? And it gave me an off point to sort of build around it.
Yeah.
I'd say do it like that. And the other thing I would say is about, speak with other people, friends, family, partners, and if you come up with an idea or even like a small start of an idea, start talking to them about it. And what I would say is you don't have to get it right the first time, and it's a good way, not just with budgeting, but just in general before you come to uni, because you'll use it all the time here. It's a way of explaining something to yourself by speaking with somebody.
Yeah.
And then you're able to sort of then get that down and then you can put it into action. Because otherwise there's a difference between you can plan till you're blue in the face until the real thing happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my kind of advice really. Just make sure you talk stuff through, and I think there's no stupid ideas.
No. And I think you have to then start experiencing it to see whether that works for you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that like you talking about petrol and everything, that's become, obviously the central part and probably stayed the central part, but there's probably like moving parts around it that you think, oh, okay, well I won't prioritise this week, but you can sort of like move that around and becoming a little bit flexible with that, as well as having the core things that matter to you.
Absolutely.
I know that I shouldn't talk to my friend about buying concert tickets because I will end up just buying them anyway.
I mean, I can
There's some good influences and some I get influenced in the wrong way. So.
I can attest to that. I mean, like I go to a lot of concerts too, and before I moved here, I was going all the time, and a couple of months maybe, and I thought, okay, right, that's one thing I know that I'm going to have to cut down on.
Yeah.
Speaking of difficult decisions.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, I'm only going to make decisions to go for only certain bands, certain artists, certain things that I haven't seen. I've sort of checkmarked them, but that's fine because I can push that across a few years. It's not like they're all going to do it at once. They all decided to do anniversary tours this year, so now it's like, okay, so maybe that's the wrong thing to say, but generally speaking, I say, think, okay, well, I can cut back on this, but make exceptions. Reward yourself for things. Get to milestones.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
You're so dramatic.
We should, for the next guys, you should get like a little.
I actually do have a board.
And what? It's not been here.
No, I've been meaning to bring it, but I keep forgetting.
It's too late now. I'm leaving.
Oh, perhaps. On that note,
we're back.
So obviously we've spoken a lot about advice and how people might
Advice.
be... Huh? Advice.
Okay.
We've been speaking about advice for students who might be worried and people being in different situations when coming to uni. And I thought we could just actually, it's really easy to think about budgeting in a negative sort of frame of mind and have that sort of worries. Whereas when you get here, it's really nice to like change that into a positive mindset and think about like what you can actually do with the smaller amounts of money and the opportunities that you can have. So obviously, like one thing that I've thought about, especially spending time around, UOG and Gloucester, is that there are actually so many like charity shops that you could like thrift things in, or just getting like really good deals. I'm a sucker for a good deal. Like anything that's a bargain, let me know because I will buy it. But that's definitely one thing, and sort of like a trip out that you could do with friends.
I was actually doing that on Saturday morning with my
Really?
15-year-old daughter. So Bath Road, Cheltenham. There's got loads of great charity shops, and you basically go up one side, down the other, and I defy you not to have found something. She got a nice Beatles t-shirt.
Yeah.
That was her thing. She was looking for a shift dress. She's into the Beatles at the minute. She wants to sort of look the part.
Yeah.
But we didn't get one of those. But yeah, so and round City Campus in Gloucester as well.
Yeah.
Loads of great charity shops there.
Yeah, definitely. And books is another thing that I think are great at charity shops.
Yeah.
Because it can be really expensive to buy books. But
I've just started selling stuff on Vinted.
Vinted.
Yeah, Vinted.
Honestly, it's opened my eyes.
It's an activity.
Although I
First time
did.
you've got onto it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm not buyer, just a seller.
Okay.
Right, but
She says now.
So
She says
this
now.
is stage
Wait
one.
for-
yeah, this is stage one.
Yeah.
Wait for it
Um,
to, when you sell stuff and for it to
As
toss
of
up.
right now, I've made a total of £2 in my balance, but that's
That
okay.
£2 feels good, right?
Sorry?
That £2 feels good.
Yeah. That's profit.
Yeah.
And I've made that from doing nothing, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But, there's been a few arguments now. It's hard out here. People are haggling.
They do,
It's crazy. But honestly, my advice would be to dig stuff out your cupboard and to sell them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what am I going to sell? Like, should I sell the lamp? Like, I'm walking around my house like, what else can I put on Vinted? It's
You've become
brilliant.
addicted to it.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Some of the best stuff I have own like now is probably from Vinted.
And people
Cool.
would buy, yeah.
You can get some real bargains on
You can
there.
get phones on there.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend that, but
People
There's
especially
iPads on
after
there.
Christmas, people get gifts they don't want.
Yeah,
They get the wrong
gifts.
sizes
so
and they can't be
true.
bothered to return it, so they just shove it on there.
Yeah.
And you get some amazing deals.
I have
you know.
got cupboards
It's
full
insane.
of clothes that I've bought in like either multiple sizes, or I'm really good at like buying stuff online and then not returning it. So I've got loads of stuff with.
Yeah, people do that a lot. They
labels
buy
still
stuff online. If it comes wrong size or what, and they just chuck it on Vinted. But
Maybe
yeah.
Vinted parties would be the way forward.
on. Yeah.
Maybe.
Bring your bin
Group
bag of stuff
activity.
yeah, and you just
and
get
then
together.
socialise
'Cause
together
it-
whilst you sell your
It's
stuff.
actually quite like a time-consuming. You got
Yeah.
to sit down and take photos of everything.
You
Like
describe
it.
describe it. I just
Yeah.
get chat to do that though. I send the
You're
photos
so
chat.
lazy.
Right, no.
That is
I just don't know how to
lazy.
properly like how do I know how to advertise something on Vinted? You know what I mean? You're probably good at that with your brand advertising degree. Like, do you know what I mean?
That's the dream.
It's the dream to be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Vinted
yeah.
seller, yeah. Savannah's dream. But what I used to do is I used to sell the items on there, and none of them would be for particularly high value, but it's great because you can just get rid of things and get little things back. But then I used to go with my mum to drop the parcels off, and it'd be right next to Costa's. So we'd just make a trip out of it, drop the parcels off, and just spend the money in Costa, which is probably not the best for budgeting, but at least it's free then.
Yeah, it
I
just feels
wouldn't
like free money, even though
recommend-
it's not, but it
Yeah,
just does.
yeah.
It's,
Very sustainable.
it's good.
Yeah, and Depop, I think that's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never used Depop, but yeah.
But Vinted is probably my main source of.
It's
buying-
popping.
In majority, I'd say buying clothes and
Yeah.
selling. It's me and my partner. It's ridiculous. I mean, over the last year, I'd say or more, it's just been parcels all the time. Which is you could be like, I'll stop buying stuff, but really, it's the prices we get them at. It's just unbelievable.
And also sometimes people would rather just get like a second-hand thing
Yeah.
than the original one. It costs less, so and you're probably doing work better for the environment.
Yeah. I took my son recently to the Tewkesbury Designer Outlet Centre, which is another great place, and they've got sale rails, so even better prices. And I took him to the Levi's store as a treat. And he was going, Mum, do you realise how much I could get off Vinted for the
Yeah.
cost of these jeans? And I was
Yeah.
like, it's so weird to hear like a 17-year-old boy saying, I'd rather not have this brand new item because I could get like 6 tops for the price of one pair.
Yeah.
But it's great that he's got that sort of mindset. But I still bought him the jeans as a treat.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's nice, isn't
Yeah.
it, to have something
Yeah.
new. And I think like the other thing that I thought about, especially when I was at uni, was like I enjoyed going out, but obviously as well since COVID, I think the whole culture of going out and the way that people socialise at uni has actually changed. But like there's so many things that you can stay in and do with your friends and have like a night in rather than going out. That's much less, it's much more cost effective. I don't know whether you do anything like that with your friends. No. You're an outward.
No, but I
person.
feel like you can do a night out really cheap as well. If you properly think it out where you're gonna go, where you're gonna choose to spend your money. Like if you're trying to get a cheap night out, you're not gonna go to like a fancy bar to get a cocktail for £15. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go to your nearest Spoons and get a drink for £3.80.
Yeah.
But no, but it's true.
Yeah, it
like
is
if
true.
you want it, you can do stuff cheaply if you think about it before you go. Same thing with trips. Like if you're planning a trip with your friends, you're not going to get a train ticket for £90. You're going to get the National Express for £3. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and thinking
So-
about it in that way, I suppose as well with travel, if you're going to like go and do events or like go on trips with your friends, it's like if you have a car, all go in the same car, split
Split
the fuel
petrol,
bill.
yeah.
And even that, like you could go to the beach for a day, like that doesn't actually cost anything for the money. We've got so many nice places to like go on a walk as well.
Yeah.
Parks.
Parks, picnics.
We've done sort of like sunset picnics or take a bottle of whatever up to sort of like Cleve Hill or Leckhampton Hill, and actually bonfire night's a really good one around here because Cheltenham's in like a basin. If you pick any of the hills around the edge, go up to the top at the right time, you can sit and have this massive free bonfire nights. If you're a photographer, great opportunity there for some good shots as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another thing that we've spoken about a lot, and I think we had a chat about before we actually came on here, is about like cooking and like thinking about your meals.
Yeah.
And
I
obviously
love meal prepping.
yeah. And like that weekly food shop can seem like so daunting, but like if you're living with friends, like you could share the cost or you cook together. I think you were talking about that with your friends.
I mean, this is 1996 prices, but back in the day, we'd all put a tenner in. I know you're probably thinking, what? But we put a tenner in.
Still goes a long way.
60 quid, went to the big Tesco's, which was like in the one car that we had in the house, and we'd go and we'd buy all the staples. So we had like the one red sauce, the one vinegar, the one olive oil, and then we'd buy a few things for meals, and we'd all cook. And if you weren't in that night, you'd still have a meal ready for you for when you returned. And I think not just the financial side, but really sociable. I mean, I think when I came to uni, I really missed the Sunday roast with the family around the dinner, around the table having dinner. So we tried to recreate it when we could. You couldn't do it every week, but it was nice to then invite maybe some friends. You know, if there was boyfriends or girlfriends going on, you'd have some more people, and we'd have this roast, and you know, we'd think we were really grown up and buy a bottle of wine, and then we'd probably sit down and watch, you know, a film afterwards. So relatively cheap way of doing it. And I think for people who'd never cooked before or didn't have those skills, you can sort of watch and learn and get involved as well. I think for me, my older son, he's going to have a bit of a culture shock when he learns how to chop an onion by himself, you know. But it's good if you're in a group. It's just really nice to sort of help each other out, develop those new skills, offer your way of cooking roast potatoes, and all of a sudden you've got some new sort of tips. But yeah, I think that's a really nice sort of low-cost way of socialising by having a meal together, whether it be a Sunday roast or just any old evening meal.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of food, we're definitely going to be sharing some content on food shops and that sort of budgeting on our social channels, so keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks. Mike, I don't know whether you've got any sort of like thinking about it in a fun way.
Yes.
I like budgeting in a fun way.
So I've speaking on the food thing and the shopping, I've had different situations where I've lived with, you know, friends and things a few times, and there's two things that stand out for me is that, well, three things, is that it's kind of been mentioned, but it's good to kind of maybe like agree on like sharing a few sort of costs on things, you know, rather than being so rigid with it where it kind of takes over your life. Just be like, oh, I'll go and get the milk this time, you got it last time, or something like that. Just kind of make kind of keep it kind of easy like that, you know. You share the kind of load, if that makes sense. It feels like the burden isn't so heavy. The other thing as well is if you really can't cook and someone else is really good at it, just offer something in return and be like, well, I'll do all the clearing up then, like that kind of thing. So it doesn't take all the time, but just to get into it rather than just leaving it all to one person, because again it's that whole thing about them carrying the burden. And then the third thing is, when you go to supermarkets and make those big trips, try to keep hold of the carrier bags rather than buying it every single time.
We have so many under our sink. It's actually getting criminal. Like I'm like, a bag? Yeah, I've got 45.
I had so many like in this cupboard, the cupboard where we used to keep our shoes, it just turned into carrier bag city. So it's just keep something, like if any of you drive, just keep some in the boot of your car. Like a spare one, just keep topping it up every now and again, because that's probably a good way of saving money. It's just not constantly buying carrier bags every time you go to Tesco's.
And it'll feel like such a small thing each time, but then if you think about how many carrier bags you've actually bought,
every car boot should have a bag of bags in. That's the way forward. The bag of bags. I've now definitely got into that, and I have one in my boot, so I'm good for that.
That's all great until I use all of them, and then they end up back in the house, and then I'm like, oh no.
And then you forget to take them with you.
And knowing that you have them at home, and you're like, oh no, I've got to pick one up now.
And they're not cheap anymore. Are you joking? It used to be 10p. It used to be 10p for a plastic bag. What is wrong with this place?
I do have like a favourite carrier bag though. Like
I do. My reusable. I've got like a little Christmassy one.
Yeah.
I use it all year round though.
Mine's going to sound bougie because it's M&S, but it's just a Percy Pig one. I really like it. And Mum came to visit me the other day. She tried to take it home with her. I was like, no. That one is staying here in my car. That's my carrier bag.
I like the Tesco's ones because they actually have handles. The Sainsbury's ones, I'm going to go get separated. they pull on your hand.
Yeah, they do.
Because there's
Yeah.
not,
But you can find them in the dark. That's
You
why I
can,
like them.
yeah, you can. Yeah, fair.
What, they glow in the dark?
But no, they're bright
No,
orange.
they're
They're
Right.
orange, yeah. You still have to eat your carrots.
I mean, you could add some like high-vis, pens on if you want.
I had to like think about that. I
There's
was
an
like,
idea.
like glow in the
If
dark
you're listening.
bags.
Yeah, Sainsbury's, if you're listening, she wants a glow-in-the-dark bag.
That's a gap in the market.
Yeah. Dragon's
Don't
Den stuff.
steal that idea. I'm copywriting that.
No,
Glow-in-the-dark
peanut
bag.
galleries.
Personalise them so that you don't lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to get air tags in these things so you can find them.
Air tags.
I don't know. Anyway, next. We just had like a 5-minute conversation about carrier bags, but yeah, I respect that.
No, but it's important.
Yeah, very true. I mean, we did the same
Bag
thing
for
with
life.
like bin bags and like all the communal stuff, like washing up liquid. We all just take in turns, like kitchen roll and stuff.
Yeah,
Like, the
it's
other
so
week,
true.
we found what did it like? Me and my friends went to do the food shop, and there was like loo roll, like 36 things for like £3. I was like, what? In this day and age, I've got like 5 stocked up for the rest of the year. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you find a bargain, you got to get it. So yeah.
I think that's so true, and actually thinking about it in that way is that if you're like, obviously Tesco and thing do like club card and earning all those points, and then
yeah.
that does come back round.
What do Sainsbury's do? Like
Nectar.
that's
Nectar.
it. Yeah.
I've pretty much got every supermarket
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
my Apple Wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Same thing
you
with
never know
Boots,
where you're going.
Superdrug, and a lot
Yeah.
of shops like they do these cards and get a student discount on them as well.
Yeah. And when you're then at the end of the month and you're running out of money, you can always get a free meal deal. Thank you, Nectar. So I'd say download all the supermarket apps just in case you go into them, and over time treat yourself. I know for Boots, I treat myself to a bottle of perfume every Christmas.
Oh,
My gift
Do you
from me
save
to
up
me.
your-
Yeah, I don't use them all year.
I really, because I
and
get
that's my
whenever I
gift.
see I'm like over £10, I'm like spend. So I should probably start saving mine whenever I get my, like Boots.
Yeah.
But the other app,
I really want to start doing Boots empties. I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh yeah.
You collect your like plastic products,
Yeah.
and then you go to Boots and they have like an empties thing,
Oh, I've seen.
and you throw your like products in
Yeah.
there, so it obviously it's good for the environment, and then you like get
They
money.
give
I
you,
think.
get money out of it.
That's good.
They don't have it in our
Vouchers.
Boots though in Cheltenham. I haven't seen it. Anyway,
But
Okay.
the one app I do love is Too Good To Go. Have you used that?
Yeah.
I've never used it. I
I
really
love
want to,
it.
but I get scared because I've heard
No.
some like horror stories.
No,
What
I went to...
stories.
It's on TikTok. Search it up.
Well, anyway,
Great
I went to-
advertise. You are
Sorry.
you've slated.
But this is the good story, so we're
But do you
listening.
like Yo Sushi?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a hesitation.
Yeah, that was it.
In my house, we
Definitely,
love
yes.
it. And when I discovered this app, I just had a look to see like who's in it, and it's basically anyone with perishables who wants to get benefit
Yeah.
stuff. And it was if you just drive there or walk there about 9 p.m. when they're shutting up shop, clearing the decks. I got like the family platter that's like ridiculous
Probably
amount
like £40.
for a fiver.
That's
We've
so
done that
good.
before.
Yeah.
Honestly, and it just
Starbucks
feels so
do it,
good when you
yeah.
drive. Like,
Yeah,
look at
so-
me.
And also because you know that stuff
Yeah.
is expensive. Like Starbucks do it, and Starbucks isn't cheap. And yeah.
So my partner's gluten free.
Yeah.
And now it's expensive because like packaging, cross contamination. So we've used that.
Yeah.
And we feel some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So it is really good. An app I would recommend as well is Airtime, because you can
I've
use
not
it.
heard of that.
Yeah, it's quite good. So it's not on every high street shop, but sometimes they might have like a Boots or something there, and it's essentially cashback, but it takes money off of your phone bill.
Okay.
And then basically every time you hit a milestone, I think it's either £5 or £10, and the cashback is usually minimal, isn't it? Like you'll get like, I don't know, 10, 12p for like buying something small in Boots or something like that. But sometimes you do get things on there where they might be like Argos, and then you've gone and bought a bedside flat pack, and that's like 50 quid or something like that, 30 quid, and that's going to be a little bit more. And that adds up where when you hit that £5 or £10, you can withdraw it and it takes off your phone bill. So
Yeah.
stuff like that, and you can just have it running in the background. As long as you have your car connected to it, you don't have to keep checking it. You can just, and you can get these things to send you notifications in case you need to tap into offers and
Yeah.
flash deals and
wow.
stuff. Yeah, so that's one I recommend.
That's really
on.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anyone's Monzo, because I have it, is that certain, I know you can pay for different tiers. You can get it for the free one, which is more than fine, but they do a lot of cashback offers on there as well. So
Yeah.
if you do have like a Deliveroo or Just Eat, they usually have one there, Starbucks, Nero, whatever. But on the Monzo thing is that sometimes it's good to sort of assess things. So it sounds a bit counterintuitive because you're paying something to save money, but for me, for example, I pay for one of the Monzo tiers because I get free, well not free, but with it, like roadside breakdown cover, phone insurance cover and travel insurance. Now, looking at that, even though I'm paying monthly for that, on the whole, it's saving me money because, you know, if I was just paying for my insurance on my phone, I'd be paying more, but I'm getting the other perks with it as well.
Yeah.
So like little things like that, just look into it. You know.
Yeah, I
definitely.
think that's one of the biggest things is that like don't be afraid, as we've already said, don't be afraid to ask and don't be like look into it because there are so many ways out there that you can sort of like save little bits here and there. And it's just like, I don't know who said it and I've heard this somewhere, but if you like look after the pennies, the pounds will look after themselves. And that is so true. If you look after the pennies, the pounds look after themselves.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's just so true that all those tiny savings could actually then lead to you doing something that is maybe not at the top of your priority. And I think it's, although it's really good to like save up and have those things and be really conscious of everything, it's important to also like budget to have fun.
Yeah.
And not, you know, don't be so worried about leaving absolutely everything in the bank, because I know I'm a little bit like that. I'm like, oh, but what if there's like this emergency and that emergency? And you do have to think about those things and they are important, but also like you do have to enjoy yourself.
Don't
you can't just you
Yeah.
can't just live in that sort of headspace.
Like 100%. And I think as well, some of the best things happen by accident as well.
Yeah.
You know, and like are unplanned or they're spontaneous, what I say. And one thing I would say as well, and a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, is that nothing is static. You know, things move. Just because you try something, you try it for a week or, you know, a couple of weeks, if it's not working, then no one's going to tell you have to stay with it.
No.
You know, it's like the thing about with the where you save money, what banks you use.
Yeah.
These things usually, they aren't static. I, myself, every year or so, and I'm saying everyone has to be like this, I'll look to move to somewhere else because banks offer...
I didn't even know you could do that. I just thought like once you like lock in.
Yeah, but banks offer like a welcome.
Join
so you get
fees.
like a, you know, your interest rate, which will fluctuate, but then you'll get a fixed percent on top. So for a year, you could be having a little bit more and then you just move the next year. Like there's nothing that's keeping
I've
you
been
in one
needing
place.
to leave. Honestly, this is my sign.
Can you stop slating?
Revolut, I'm on a Revolut as well, and they do a good like saving thing where like you it's good for like saving money because they well, I don't really know actually. I don't know. I've been told about it. They do like you can put in like a big chunk of money, and then obviously like there's like more.
So
like no, like I don't actually know, but like this is what I've been told.
Monzo's similar. They have little like challenges and things. So they have like 1p saving challenge where every day it puts in 1p, and then the next day you'll put in 2p and then 3p, things like that. So you can opt out of it any time. But then when you're doing that, you're in for like a prize draw and things, and you can set on a lot of
I love a prize draw.
Banking apps and stuff. I don't think it's just exclusive to Monzo, but if you pay for something and it's like $5.99, it will round it up to the nearest pound and put the saving
Mine
into
does
your...
that.
Yeah,
and
so
then it's like, oh my god, it's free money. It's not free money, but
but it's a way of saying... So even if it's just a case of like, oh, well, that's an extra couple of quid a month, it's not the worst thing. You know, because an extra couple of quid you get interest on. So,
Yeah, and there's just so many ways to save.
Yeah.
I think is the bottom line, and I just think that we've obviously spoken a little bit about student discounts and to go in and ask for them because a lot of places do them. Even if they don't advertise it, it's always best to ask, and you can attach student discount to things like Boots apps and things that will come up when you scan your card. But also just to talk a little bit quickly about the specific apps that you can use. I know that
Uni Days, Student Beans,
and
those are like the main ones, no?
Totem's another one.
Totem, yeah.
No, heard of that.
Yeah.
Got a
Download it now.
Right now.
But also like thinking about that when you want to go out for dinner with your friends, or thinking about if you're going to go out for a meal, I'd go Monday to Thursday because there's quite often discounts on Monday or Sunday to Thursday, not the Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, like Wagamama's do something like that, don't they?
Yeah.
Or is it
15% off? I think Wagamama's.
something like
If it's their quieter night, they're just trying to get the business in.
Yeah, Pizza Express especially. That's my favourite because it's 30%.
Yeah, and I say check like local places as well. Like back in London, there's a local Indian restaurant that if you order before 9 and you go and pick it up and pay there rather than over the phone or card or whatever, you get like 20% off. So places have these little quirks. So
And you get your steps in at the same time.
100%, earn it.
Yeah. And then you feel better about eating all that food because you just walked to go get it.
Yeah.
And also though, the university's money advice team, they've got a great web page with all these tips, and they list out a lot of these things. So if you have sort of
we can bring the URL up on the screen.
Yeah, but they're really good, and Terry and the team there are really, really friendly. So if you wanted to go and have a chat and sort of find out any sort of tips in person or on Teams, that'd be a good place to go.
Exactly, and that was the one sort of final question that we had to wrap this up was for you, was where can students go and seek this advice, either before they get here or when they're here? What sort of opportunities is there?
So I'd say obviously the university website will be your first point of call. All the support teams are on there, and if it's to do with the money side of things, then the money advice team is who would be able to give you that support. And then once you get here, you can go and speak to them in person. And there's also other teams. I'm the careers team. We all signpost to each other. So if you did end up going to the wrong group of people, we can make sure you get that sort of that good support. But also you can have a look at the sort of what uni websites. They also have quite a few forums,
Save the Student.
Save the Student.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear from other students as well. And then I think before you join as a student, you get sort of, you can join a group with other incoming students. So while everyone's planning and prepping and getting together, they can be sharing top tips that way.
Yeah. I was going to say myself, like other students as well. And even if you find out something yourself, as a way of, I hate the term, but icebreaker, you can share these things in conversation just naturally with people. So before I came here, I found out that with our student email, you get a year free of Google Pro, which is the Gemini thing, and a few people didn't know that, and when I was just generally chatting, and then you share stuff with them, and it could be a good way to sort of start conversation with people and start talking about things and build up friendships and things like that. So definitely share it, don't just keep it all in, and then you can get things in return, etc.
Definitely. And the one final thing that I probably had was this can be a really good thing to look at on social media. Because on TikTok especially, people do
there's so
meal
many.
Recipes
That's where I got all my recipes from.
Little hacks and
budgeting hacks and meal planning hacks and stuff. And
because there'll always be something that someone else hasn't thought of.
They probably got spreadsheets, templates, and everything.
Surprisingly, left, right, and centre. So we're going to take a break now and come back for part 2, where we talk a little bit more about careers and all the opportunities you can have with placements, part-time jobs, and supporting you through your journey. Thank you.